Here are the 5 main premium steak cuts: the ribeye, the strip loin or New York, the tenderloin, and finally the T-bone and porterhouse. These steaks come from a part of the steer that gets very little muscle development, which makes for a more tender steak. All of these steaks come from these 2 sections of the steer, the rib and the short loin. The other parts of the steer come from areas where there is much more muscle development, and generally, the more muscle development, the less tender the meat. Let's have a quick look at the rib section. Here we have a section of the ribs, comprising of only 4. The entire rib section actually comprises of 7 ribs, numbers 6 through 12. This cut is also known as a prime or standing rib roast. Depending on the number of people you are serving, you can order anywhere from a 2 to 7 rib roast. By removing the bones and this piece here, you end up with prime rib. This is the cut of meat you generally get when you order prime rib at a steakhouse. By slicing it, you end up with ribeye steaks, which many believe are the most tender and flavorful cut of beef. Ribeye steaks are also commonly referred to as entrecôte steaks, which translate to inside the rib. The other 4 premium steaks all come from the short loin. The short loin is just a continuation of the rib along the back of the steer. This is the end of the short loin, where it joins the sirloin. You may recognize the familiar T-bone shape. In fact, this is actually the porterhouse steak. They are cut across the short loin from this point here up to the very end. When you cut cross from here, up until about here, you get T-bone steaks. By removing this piece here, you get what is called the strip loin. By slicing it, you get New York or strip loin steaks. In France, they are referred to as contrefilet, which means against the tenderloin. On the other side of the T-bone, you have the tenderloin. In fact, this is only a portion of the tenderloin, as the full tenderloin actually extends further back on the steer. This is what the whole tenderloin looks like. Since this muscle does very little work, this piece of meat is extremely tender and lean. Some believe because tenderloin is less fatty, it lacks the same intense, beefy flavor as New York or ribeye steaks. Now you can see that the short loin is simply the strip loin and the tenderloin with the T-bone in between. Going back to the porterhouse and the T-bone, you will now be able to recognize these premium steaks. Here you can see the strip loin on both steaks, and here you have the tenderloin. The main difference between the 2 is that the porterhouse has a larger piece of tenderloin. It also has this extra piece from the very end of the strip loin. Now you'll be able to quickly recognize the premium steak options the next time you go to the market.